The story begins in 1965. Once a prosperous place, the village of Rancaspuna falls victim to a political tragedy and eventually turns into a dumping ground for unidentified bodies. In 1965, a woman tries to rebuild and repopulate the village. However, the foundation of her effort is rooted in a horrifying ritual involving fetal sacrifice. Because of this terrifying practice, most of the villagers flee the area. Those who remain start calling the place the Village of the Dead Fighters or the Village of Dead Fetuses. The scene then shifts to the year 1909. A female shaman named Ito is seen treating a woman. Just then, Rini arrives with her son Gunna. Rini tells Gunna to wait outside and goes inside, apologizing to Ito for being late. The woman inside looks extremely frightened, worried about the fate of the child she is carrying. But Ito reassures her, saying that those who offer sacrifices are never touched by sin. Instead, their lives become filled with honor and prosperity. After that, Ito begins a strange and brutal ritual. She cuts off a lock of the woman's hair with scissors, stuffs it into her mouth, and starts chewing it. Then she throws a handful of yellow rice, cast under a spell, into a bowl. Closing the woman's eyes, Ito begins chanting incantations. As she does this, the woman starts writhing in pain. After a while, Ito announces that the ritual is complete. In reality, the black magic ritual has forced the woman to have an abortion. Rini helps the now weak woman outside. Meanwhile, driven by curiosity, Gunna peeks through a crack in the door. Inside, he sees a demon standing in the room. A moment later, he watches the demon leave the room. Back inside, Ito eats the aborted fetus, and because of the power of the black magic, all the bloodstains on the bed vanish in an instant. The story then jumps back 2 days earlier. A model named Vita is busy doing a photo shoot. She looks quite uncomfortable, but under the photographer Bagas's instructions, she keeps trying to pose with a smile. After the shoot ends, a coworker named Nisi surprises Vita with a cake 2 days before her birthday. Nisi also shares some exciting news. In 5 days, Vita is scheduled to meet a big director in Jakarta, a meeting that could turn her into a major star. Instead of feeling happy after hearing this news, Vita suddenly starts crying. She begins to feel sick and rushes to the bathroom. Holding her stomach, she breaks down in tears, clearly hinting that she is pregnant. This pregnancy has now become a huge obstacle to her rising career. Bagas tries to explain that this situation is far from normal. Vita is already 3 months pregnant, and because of the physical changes, it will soon become obvious to everyone. Bagas reminds her that the reason he brought her to the village is to get an abortion. He argues that Vita is the only one supporting her family, and right now she has a big chance to become a star. If people find out she became a mother without being married, the scandal could destroy both her career and her family's future. However, Vita wants to keep the baby and starts questioning Bagas's love. This also reveals that Bagas is the father of the child. Vita accuses him of running away from responsibility. Bagas then appeals to her emotions, saying that he truly loves her, and that's exactly why he wants to make this difficult decision, to protect her career. Eventually, Vita agrees to go along with Bagas's plan. While driving, a cat suddenly appears on the road. Bagas slams on the brakes, but it seems like the car has already run over the cat. When he steps out to check, he finds nothing under the car. But we see something terrifying. A smoky figure slowly emerging from beneath the vehicle, and right behind the car, a demon is standing silently. Unaware of any of this, Bagas gets back into the car. The next day, Vita suddenly feels a sharp pain in her stomach. Inside the house, she starts hearing the sound of a child laughing and running around. Suddenly, the phone rings. When she answers it, she hears a girl screaming, "Mom!" from the other side. At that exact moment, Vita wakes up. She realizes it was just a dream and that she is actually on a bus with Bagas, traveling to the village. But even after waking up, she suddenly sees the same little girl inside the bus and screams in fear. Bagas quickly calms her down by giving her some water. When the bus driver drops them off, he suspiciously asks Bagas if he is really sure they want to get off there. Bagas doesn't answer and simply gets down with Vita. As they walk along the road toward the village, Vita starts hearing strange sounds, but Bagas dismisses them, saying it's just the sound of the wind. However, from the distance, a demon is secretly watching them. On the way, Vita notices several bones hanging from a structure and becomes frightened. Bagas explains that it's a local tradition of the village, performed for young men who leave the village. But for Vita, The place and its strange customs begin to feel extremely disturbing and unsettling. Bagas tells Vita about his village, Rancaspuna. He explains that the village was abandoned during the drought of 1960. When Bagas was a child, his father left them and disappeared. But Bagas stayed in the village to take care of his mother. Hearing this, Vita feels sympathetic toward him. After that, Bagas wishes Vita a happy birthday and gives her a gift box. Inside the box is a ring. Bagas puts the ring on Vita's finger and confesses his love to her. As the two of them get very close to each other, they are suddenly startled by a strange sound. Vita wants to know what it was, but Bagas ignores the noise and tells her they should continue their journey. Bagas then tells Vita that she will have to take part in a special ritual. Vita becomes worried, but Bagas reassures her that it's just a tradition and that it won't hurt. While walking along the road, Vita notices a boy staring directly at her, but the moment she looks at him, the boy suddenly runs away. Soon after, Bagas meets a man named Ambar. We had earlier seen Ambar bringing his wife to a shaman to get an abortion. Bagas and Ambar step aside to talk privately. At the same time, Ambar's wife asks Vita, "Did you come here to make a sacrifice too?" She then asks more clearly if Vita has come to terminate her baby, saying that she did the same thing and that it doesn't hurt. After a while, they arrive in front of a house. Bagas tells Vita to wait outside. Through the window, Vita sees the same boy again and becomes terrified because the boy is trying to push an entire ball into his mouth. A moment later, the boy suddenly disappears. Soon, Rini opens the door, and the boy, whose name is Gunna, comes out from behind her. Rini invites Vita inside the house and warmly welcomes her. During their conversation, Rini learns that Vita and Bagas are not married and that Vita works as a photo model. Rini comments that Bagas has always had a weakness for models. She also reveals that the ritual will take place tomorrow. So tonight, Vita has to stay there. The scene cuts to a man named Jaka drawing water from a well, but the water looks extremely dirty and gives off a foul smell. Suddenly, a strong wind begins to blow, and an evil presence can be felt inside the house. Jaka looks through the window and sees Vita. On the other hand, when Vita goes to her room to sleep, the door slowly creaks open by itself. Vita calls out to Rini, but there is no response. Suddenly, a loud noise startles her. Frightened, she starts looking for Rini and Gunna. While searching, she walks into the kitchen and suddenly comes face to face with Gunna, which scares her. She notices something strange on Gunna's neck. Gunna tries to tell her something, but suddenly his face changes and he collapses onto the floor. Just then, Rini rushes in and puts her finger into Gunna's mouth, somehow bringing him back to normal. After this, following Rini's instructions, Vita goes to take a bath for the ritual. She is told that instead of using normal soap or toiletries, she must clean her body using muddy soil and keep her mind completely calm. After bathing, when Vita returns, she sees Gunna giving her a toy made of clay. But the real shock comes when Vita suddenly sees another Gunna walking out of the room. Seeing Gunna in two places at the same time leaves Vita completely stunned. A little later, Vita suddenly experiences severe stomach pain and starts vomiting. She looks out the window and sees Gunna standing outside, so she follows him. But once she steps outside, she begins hearing Gunna's voice coming from all directions. Overwhelmed with pain, she collapses onto the ground. Suddenly, she sees Gunna standing right in front of her, placing a finger on his lips, signaling her to stay quiet. Just then, a masked man suddenly appears and scares her. Terrified, Vita loses consciousness. When she wakes up, she sees Gunna sitting in front of her. He gestures for her to stay quiet, and Vita finally realizes that Gunna is actually mute. Gunna quickly runs away, and shortly after, Vita meets Ito. Ito comforts her and suddenly asks a shocking question. Why does she want to get an abortion? After that, Ito takes Vita to a strange statue and explains that it represents birth and death. She says that with every birth, death is connected, and one life takes the place of another. Ito then places her hand on Vita's stomach and tells her that the main ritual will begin this afternoon. She then orders Jaka to start a 3-month ritual. Meanwhile, an argument breaks out between Rini and Bagas. From their conversation, we learn that Bagas had gone to the city. On Ito's orders, he was supposed to bring someone back. His job was to go into the city and find a suitable prey. Just then, Vita arrives there. Seeing her, Rini quickly takes Gunna inside, while Bagas hides the truth from Vita and tries to calm her down. Later, Bagas convinces Rini that Vita is the exact girl Ito has been searching for. Because of this, he tells Rini to begin preparing for a special ritual that will last 3 months. On the other hand, Vita tells Bagas that this place feels extremely haunted and uncomfortable to her, so she doesn't want to take part in the ritual. But Bagas lies to reassure her and convinces her by saying that once this ritual is finished, they will immediately return home. The scene then cuts to Ito thanking Bagas for keeping his promise. However, she also gives him a strict warning. Just like Bagas's father once betrayed her, Bagas must not make the same mistake. As part of the ritual, Jaka sacrifices a chicken. At the same time, we see Bagas and Ito growing closer to each other. In the next scene, Bagas explains to Rini that everything he is doing is for the sake of their sick child, Gunna. He claims that Gunna will be cured today. Just then, Vita arrives and overhears their entire conversation. She finally understands the truth. Rini is actually Bagas's wife, and Gunna is their child. That means Bagas was only pretending to love her. Shocked and heartbroken after learning the truth, Vita starts running away. Bagas chases after her and finally reveals his real motive. He tells her that to cure Gunna, they need the baby growing inside Vita's womb, the fetus. Bagas also threatens her, saying that she is already trapped in the village's black magic, so even if she wants to, she cannot leave the village. Vita pushes Bagas and tries to escape, but as soon as she reaches the boundary of the village, an invisible force throws her back. She falls to the ground and collapses with unbearable stomach pain. While unconscious, Vita experiences a horrifying nightmare. She sees a hand emerging from inside her stomach, and the creature coming out has a face that looks exactly like hers. After this, we see Ito standing in front of the demonic statue and beginning a strange ritual dance. Meanwhile, the helpless Vita is trapped inside a circle, while Jaka, wearing a mask, beats a drum nearby. As the rhythm of the drum grows louder, unbearable pain spreads through Vita's body. Her body starts twisting violently, as if some invisible energy is controlling her. Then suddenly a large cage descends from above and traps Vita inside. After a while, the cage slowly lifts up, and we see that Vita and Ito are standing in exactly the same posture. Then Ito forces Vita to dance against her will until she eventually collapses and loses consciousness. Just then, Bagas arrives and catches her. While unconscious, Vita dreams of a little girl calling her mother. When she suddenly wakes up, she finds herself lying on a ritual altar. She desperately begs Rini, saying she doesn't want to lose the baby in her womb. But Rini replies that she also doesn't want to lose her own child. Ito begins the ritual again and presses hard on Vita's stomach. In desperation, Vita bites Ito's hand and manages to escape from there. After this, Rini walks outside the house and realizes that Gunna is nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, when Jaka enters the room to check on Ito, he notices something terrifying. The wound on Ito's hand, caused by Vita's bite, is releasing black smoke, a clear sign that she is demonic. At the same time, Rini searches for Gunna near the statue. Gunna tries to explain something to his mother through gestures, but Rini refuses to listen. Instead, she scolds him and forcefully locks him inside the house. Elsewhere, Vita suddenly hears the sound of a baby crying from all around her. Out of nowhere, Jaka appears and covers her mouth from behind. Vita quickly grabs the machete from Jaka's waist and attacks him. However, Jaka stops her and tells her that if she wants to survive, she must listen to him. Jaka explains that he wants to help Vita escape from this cursed village. Once Vita calms down, Jaka asks her if her birth date is June 6, 1966. When Vita confirms it, Jaka finally reveals the village's dark secret. He explains that 23 years ago, Ito arrived in this village, and since then the village has been struck by one disaster after another. Jaka also reveals that the ritual Ito is performing is actually a body swap ritual. It's never intended to help Vita at all. Instead, she wants to take over Vita's young body and use it as her new vessel. A little later, Bagas arrives at the scene. Jaka tries to make him understand that he has been trapped in a web of lies, but Bagas stubbornly refuses to believe him. He insists that Ito is their savior and that she needs Vita's help. Finally, Jaka reveals the real truth in front of Rini. He explains that Ito has completely brainwashed Bagas. Jaka also admits that in the past, Bagas's father was actually right, and that making a deal with Ito was the biggest mistake of his life. Bagas angrily calls his father a traitor, but Jaka objects and reveals that the real reason behind the curse on the village is actually Ito. Jaka then exposes the truth. He tells Rini that Ito is the one who made Gunna sick and forced Rini to become her servant. Jaka also explains that Ito is seeking immortality. She has no intention of helping anyone in the village. Jaka clearly states that the only way to cure Gunna and save everyone is to kill Ito. Hearing this, Bagas becomes furious and attacks Jaka. But Jaka quickly fights back, strikes him, and throws him to the ground. Before leaving, Jaka advises Rini to listen to her conscience and follow what she truly believes is right. After Jaka leaves, a confused Rini questions Bagas, asking if what they are doing is really the right thing. In response, Bagas warns her that if she keeps doubting now, it will only bring great disaster upon them. In the next scene, Vita asks Jaka why they can't simply leave the village and run away. Jaka explains that Vita is already bound to Ito through a pact. Shocked, Vita insists that she never made any such agreement. Jaka then explains that the ring Bagas gave her, along with the special ritual bath she took under Rini's instructions, has already tied her body and soul to Ito. Furious, Vita demands to know how Ito can be killed. Jaka says that during the ritual, Ito will be at her weakest state, and that will be their only chance to kill her. He then hands Vita a wild boar's tusk and tells her that this tusk is the only weapon capable of killing Ito. Meanwhile, Bagas and Rini go to Ito and beg for forgiveness. Ito calmly says she will deal with Jaka herself and orders Bagas to capture Vita and bring her back. On the other side, just as Jaka goes to tell Vita one last important thing, a heavy cage suddenly drops from above and crushes him, killing him instantly on the spot. After that, Bagas knocks Vita unconscious and brings her back to the house, where he tightly ties her to the ritual altar. When Gunna tries to help Vita, Bagas forcefully holds him back and covers his eyes. Just as the ritual is about to begin, Ito discovers the wild boar's tusk. She mocks Jaka and Bagas's father, then hands the tusk to Rini and starts the ritual again. As soon as the ritual begins, Vita starts screaming in unbearable pain, and the entire house begins to shake violently. At that moment, Gunna suddenly starts struggling to breathe and gasp for air. Seeing her child in such a terrible condition, Rini can't stay calm anymore. She begs Bagas to stop everything, but Bagas refuses and instead slaps Rini. Desperate and furious, Rini pushes Bagas to the ground and attacks Ito's body with a sharp tusk. Enraged, Bagas grabs Rini by the hair and tries to strangle her to death. But at that exact moment, Gunna manages to free Vita from her restraints. The second she's free, Vita quickly slashes Bagas's throat with a sharp tusk, killing him instantly. After the incident, Gunna runs out of the house, and Rini and Vita chase after him. At the same time, the demon completely enters Ito's body. Gunna runs toward a strange statue and starts digging in the soil, pulling out a small pouch. He hands the pouch to Vita and tries to signal what she needs to do. Vita suddenly understands. Before dying, Jaka had tried to tell her about this very task. Just then, Ito, now filled with demonic power, starts moving toward them. Rini bravely steps forward to confront Ito while Gunna urges Vita to open the pouch. When Vita opens it, she trembles in fear because inside the pouch is a still-beating human heart. Gunna insists that she must eat it. While Rini continues fighting Ito, Vita reluctantly takes a bite of the heart. Instantly, Ito screams in unbearable pain and tries to attack Vita. Seizing the moment, Rini strikes Ito's body with a wild boar tusk. But because of the supernatural power, Ito stands up again and attacks Rini from behind. Even though she's badly injured, Rini uses the last of her strength to keep striking Ito again and again until she finally collapses to the ground. Meanwhile, Vita finishes eating the entire heart. Ito desperately screams for her to stop, but it's already too late. A cloud of black smoke, the demon, escapes from Ito's body, and within seconds her body ages rapidly and withers away. After the battle ends, Gunna runs to his mother Rini. Before dying, Rini gently touches her child's face with love and takes her final breath. A few months later, the scene shows Vita sitting in a clinic with a healthy Gunna beside her. And the most surprising thing is, Gunna can finally speak now. In the movie's post-credits scene, Amber, unable to bear the pain of poverty, starts digging under the statue to bring Ito back. As the hole gets deeper, black smoke begins to rise again from the ground. And with that chilling moment, the movie comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.